First of all, love to go around to everyone and just give us a bit of an update what's going on at the club at the moment and how you're feeling. And I'll start with you, mate. How's it going in Tigerland?
Yeah, it's obviously it's a challenging time. There's no doubt about that. Obviously, it's something none of us have encountered from that point of view. But overall, our players are in relatively high spirits. Probably the little bit of difficulty we're having at the moment. We haven't got a set date for return to play as of yet, so motivation at times can be a little bit of a struggle, and probably lack of purpose at the moment is also the other one. We just played our round one game, then all of a sudden the rug has been pulled under our feet with that. So it's really tough, but our players are battling on as best they can at the moment in isolation.
Yeah, it's very similar. I suppose it's the unknown, and when there's uncertainty, I suppose there's a little bit of anxiety from our boys and coaches and management. And we've got empty stadiums and we've got bills to pay.
Yeah, we're a little bit different to obviously Damien and Leon. We do have that light at the end of the tunnel. The May 28th, we resume our competition. So I think that certainly helps in terms of our players' spirits and motivation. I think the first 3 weeks, the guys were, okay, we'll get on with things and we'll train well and our spirits will be high. But I certainly noticed about the third week in that there was a little bit of a dip in enthusiasm. So it was a challenge for the coaching staff to come up with a couple of ideas that will really motivate the players.
The question is, it's from a Knights fan, what's the biggest single challenge as a coach you have at the moment? And it's got a little dash. Are you keeping them motivated?
Yeah, look, it's certainly a big challenge. That's the easy answer. Look, this certainly wasn't in the coaching manual for me to prepare, especially in my first season as a head coach. I prepared for a lot of things, but certainly not this. And everyone's in the same boat. Look, the way that we've kept ourselves motivated, and we're really fortunate. 2 things stand out for me. We themed up our season was around. The theme was getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. So, I guess hindsight, that was probably a pretty good theme because we're getting really tested now with the uncomfortable moment. So just letting the guys, understand that it's okay not to feel great all the time.
That's great. Before I go to the next one, Leon or Jim, you got anything to add to that?
Once again, it's the motivation that we speak about, but the lack of actual start date is a really, really hard thing for anyone in society at the moment. Like, when are we going to get back to some form of normality? And obviously we're in pretty strict ISO conditions at the moment, so we're probably pretty fortunate as a footy club. We've put a lot of eggs into the mental space and the mental health and wellbeing space. So we feel whatever happens with our side, they'll cope relatively well with that. We speak a lot about process and just worrying about being in the present moment. We can't worry about the outcome of when we're going to come out of this, but just go day to day, moment to moment, which, look, at times it's going to be overwhelming and they're going to think about, well, when are we going to be back doing what we love doing with regard to playing? But we consistently challenge the players to remain present and to remain in the current moment so we get a better result for the bigger long-term outcome.
Yeah, right on. Next question's to you, Leon. It's from a Blues fan, and it's an interesting one. He wants to know, are you guys staying connected, or how are you staying connected with your team? Have you actually been getting together?
A little bit like Adam, it's become really pertinent at a time like this, and staying connected. We do it through Zoom meetings. We do about 3 a week. 2 of them are in smaller groups. We just feel the smaller groups allows people probably to talk more than the larger group when we're all together on Wednesday, which is sort of 50-odd people, including our staff. But the best thing I think for this time is it's actually, we start off unsure how to manufacture these meetings. By the end, like last week's meetings were fantastic. We had the players run the meetings by and large. They run skits. They've got pretty much a free license to do what they want there. Nobody's spared. The coaches are getting slagged off and everything. So it's a good, humorous time, and we enjoy it.
The sledging over the Zoom. That's outstanding stuff. Righto, Dimmer, we're back to you, mate. This is a good question too. This guy wants to know, in respects to the players, what are you hearing from the players, Dimmer? Are some doing better than others? And then he sort of quoted, have you noticed any behaviour changes since working under the isolation? So have you seen many changes in the guys?
Yeah, it's a great question. What we've probably found is players will go through various stages of when they're going well, but also there's going to be a period where they struggle. It's amazing when you see where you are now compared to where you started 4 to 5 weeks ago, the change in your understanding of your routine and your what goes on from day to day. Like I actually, to be perfectly honest, I really struggled probably the first week and a half after, we were basically put in ISO. I lacked routine, I lacked purpose until I actually sat down and started to realign myself about what this is and stop worrying about the outcome and start to continually work on the process and what my day to day looks like. I was really in not a great place, not a real dark place, and a lot of our players have gone through the same sort of situation. But once again, if we continue to understand what our day to day looks like, we're going to end up at a better result. That's not to say at various stages we're going to end up in a flat spot. But what we do have is, we have a great coaching staff, a great mental peak performance staff that are certainly there to help the players get through those day-to-day moments.
The emotions of the first couple of weeks got the guys through, and everybody was really, I guess, enthusiastic on the WhatsApp group and contributing. But I did notice the third week in, it sort of become a little bit, this is real, and it was quite a challenge for them.
The support staff and the people in the office, are they getting looked after by the clubs? Are they working at the moment, or are they not working? What's the go?
I know with the Blues, the staff are included in all our team meetings and get the same support as the players. They get checked on as regularly as what the players do, and they're a part of the fun and the competitions that we're creating and the humour. And they run the ride of the season like the rest of us, the highs and lows, and they're an important part of our team. And we felt it's really important that they get looked after as well.
What we probably tended to do is the players are probably the strongest link between obviously the game and our staff. So our players, in particular, our leaders, have been allocated, 3 to 4 staff each just to consistently touch base, as well as our coaches, to make sure that they are okay, and just asking them a simple question: how are you travelling? Are you okay? The staff really appreciate that too, because obviously the players are always seen as these, mythical creatures that are on the field delivering these enormous results, but they're also human, and the human connection is really important, especially this time of crisis. And I think that's the one thing that we can really rely on, is just, and it's similar to what Adam said before, a sense of greater purpose, a sense of common man and human kindness is really important at this time of need.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I've got another interesting question. This one's for you, Leon, straight down the line. This is from a Blues fan, and it's about wellbeing. You just said, mate, what advice can you give me or anyone that might be struggling or feeling a little overwhelmed at the moment with their mental wellbeing? Good question.
Great question.
That's a great question, and I'm by no means an expert in this area, but it's probably a feeling that we've all had at some point. And I think the fact that you recognise it in the first instance is great. And we had a discussion. We were lucky enough to have all that sports psychologist Gilbert and I speak to our group last week, and that was really fantastic because he's been around a long time, and he's been through, with the Christchurch earthquakes. We've had volcanic eruptions, we've had mass shootings, so we've had a bit of adversity, and it's not uncommon to have those feelings. And I suppose the big thing that he mentioned to us was, if you do feel like the situation's getting on top of you, acknowledge it and just try and work out, you're probably thinking too far about the future or too far about the past. So try and concentrate on some things throughout the day that can help you through the day, and things that make you smile and you enjoy. Are you doing things, were you able to do something during the day that you enjoy? And then try and, situation where you feel like you're in control of the situation instead of the situation being in control of you. So you feel like you're on top of it. And I think having good friends, talking to people, and like I said, trying to find those things that make you happy, that's a good start.
Look, very similar answer from our end. Usually, first letting people, I guess, accept and understand that it's okay to feel the way we are, because we're not robotic. This isn't a normal thing for us to go through. So, understanding that, or recognising when you aren't feeling your best, that we can tie that into how the guys are in a game. They're not always feeling their best in the game, and it's usually a teammate talking to a teammate that pushes you through those periods. So we're encouraging our guys to reach out to a teammate when they are feeling that way, and try and encourage, I guess, some feedback to each other. And certainly the other point Leon making now, and not worrying, what's too far down the track, just getting what you need to do right now, right. But certainly talking to their teammates and talking to their loved ones is the first, piece of advice that we give them to reach out.
Outstanding. Dimmer?
Yeah, I think it's about also being proactive. I think once again, in the mental health space, it's really important as we said, I've got a little philosophy. It's called the Dimmer's Daily Philosophy to Happiness sort of thing, where I've got 5 things that I know make me feel really good. And I filled in a little sheet that gives me those things that I do on a daily basis. Because the reality is, if I do all these things, I'm going to be in pretty good place at the end of the day, and I'm going to have a good, successful day moving forward. And, once again, exercise and routine are really important in this. It's amazing how much or how good you feel if you start off the day with just a simple form of exercise, whether it's a few push-ups, sit-ups, all these type of things. But mentally, you feel a lot better about yourself if you get up and do something like that. So we're no different as elite sportsmen, elite coaches, as compared to everyone out there. We go through the ups and downs as well, but it's about knowing and understanding what makes you feel good. Be really proactive in this space. Don't wait for something to go wrong. As much as you can, sit down and write down the things that make you feel good and happy, and do them every day. Simple solution.
Give us one of the things that you really love to do every day to set your day up.
Yeah, I guess mine, Chief, is certainly the same as Damien. If I can start the day with exercise and start the day with a swim, we're very fortunate. We live in a beautiful part of the world in Newcastle, and there's not many better spots than Merriweather Beach or baths first thing in the morning. Certainly getting into the ocean and doing some exercise certainly starts my day off really well. So that's one thing that I don't like to go without.
Next question, and it's about nutrition. And the question goes, we know how important nutrition is for the players, but how do you and your coaching team, how do you guide and motivate them to eat well, obviously when you're not together? Has that been a challenge?
Yeah, it's a really good point. Because obviously we're in the full-time training, they do eat more. So once again, they're not going to be training quite as hard as what they will when they're with us or in camp. So their appetite and the amount of food they eat will drastically change over this period at the moment. So we just remind them to make good choices. But once again, it's all in moderation. We understand 80% of the time they're going to be pretty good. But we also allow them 20% of the time. Listen, we know you're not going to be Peter Perfect all the time. So 80-20 rule for me, 80% of the time, do the right thing. 20% of the time, go and have a cheeseburger at McDonald's or whatever you want to do. You still want to live your life in this period. Unfortunately, my 80% at the moment is more cheeseburgers and 20% the good moderation stuff. So I'm not in a great place with that at the minute.
It's hard. The potato chips are just sitting there in the cupboard. You got to walk past them all the time, mate. They're just there.
Exactly.
What about you boys? Has diet been hard to control with your teams?
Yeah, look, the guys are required to check in, multiple times a week with their weight. I guess technology's really helped us there, where you can, take photos of your feet on the scales to prove that it's you. And it's a tough period, and they're not robots. So allowing some space for them to be humans, if they enjoy a glass of red with their dinner and, one turns to 3, well, then that's okay. But, you can't have multiple nights like that.
Look, I think one thing we value at Tigerland is, once again, we have a CEO, a senior coach, a general manager of football, but we've got very much a flat hierarchical structure. Like, once again, there's people in senior positions, but as leaders, I think one thing I've learned over the course of my time as a coach, it's okay to say I don't know the answer, but we've got a good enough team around us that will help me find the answer. So I think the very best coaches and the very best people in their fields learn to step back, which allows others to step forward and fill the void. Because it's quite easy, I reckon, as a coach or as a leader to sit back and say, listen, this is the problem, but also here's the solution. But you don't get any buy-in or you don't get any growth in your leadership group overall. So I reckon the very, very best leaders know the answer they're looking for, but they step back to allow others to explore those options. And I think that's something our our club does very, very well. Like, we've got the best CEO in the land, I think, in Brendan Gale, and he's incredible at allowing his staff to step up and fill the void and give the required answers where it is. So I think the best organisations do that. They explore those options and they allow people to develop at their own rate.
Yeah, Damien, with the whole structure of being a coach, and especially if you're really process driven, I know that I'm like that. Holidays for my wife is torture. You know, for the first two weeks, I've got everything itemised and planned, and you know, if we're off on a holiday on a resort, I've got it down at the ferry 2 hours earlier and stuff like that. So it's not fun initially, and it takes me a little bit of time to relax and get out of that routine. I was trying to run the household like the team, but my wife's pretty good at putting me back in the line.
We're all in that boat, mate, for sure. I've got another one here, which I think is a good one. When it all comes back, just say it's next year and the competition's going through normal, what's the one thing that you'll take away, and albeit it's still early in the process of going through what we're doing, but what's the one thing you'll take away from this experience?
That's a good question, and we'll look back probably from this experience, and I think we might look back on it quite fondly because it's made us rethink about a lot of things. And probably for us, I know as a team, we've been talking about how fortunate we are to do what we do as a job, and how lucky we are to turn up every day. And you miss the small things. You miss the banter in the changing rooms, and you know, the walking out to the rugby field and kicking the ball around, the smell of the grass, and all those things get taken away from you. And it's not until you have it taken away that you realise just how much you love it.
I think the big thing for me is it's really highlighted how close we are as a club. You know, how much you miss each other's company. And I think the things that probably got on your nerves or got on players' nerves won't be there. They're not that big a deal. I guess they're the things. We've really missed each other. We look forward to getting back together. And you know, going about our routines together. But I just think it's probably highlighted the importance of having, you know, really deep connections and I guess empathy and care for each other, because you know we've had to rely on that heavily during this period. So I think it's really important as a club when we do go back to normal that we don't undervalue, you know, caring for one another and enjoying our time together.
Yeah, I think along a similar vein there, I think the things that we'll certainly learn are during our darkest periods, we discover our true colours and our capabilities. And I think when we emerge from this, we'll certainly be smarter and form new habits and, more importantly, new ideas as well. And the other one is what these guys have touched on is, I think, is gratitude. You know, what we have and what we miss most is really important. And the biggest one I think that we will come to is that people always have a longing for a sense of community and playing and watching sport. I think we've started to realise how sport is valued in the community and how much when it's taken away, how much we miss that. You know, outside of our parents, I guarantee you the thing that brings us together and has the greatest bearing on most people within a society is your local sporting environment. And I think that's the one thing we miss, and we'll certainly look forward to getting back.
It's really important for us that we finish the season properly and well. So it's been one of our drivers. The community is really important to us. You know, we're out and about in the community now, giving out food to people who's facing hardship. And when we come back on the field, you know, we want to show how much this jersey means to us. So looking forward to getting back out there doing what we love.
You know, we're really grateful to our sponsors and our members and supporters, and we'll be doing everything in our power to come back and you know, in hopefully 4 to 5 weeks' time, hit the ground running.
Yeah, very similar, mate, to what Leon and Adam said. You know, our members and supporters are like family to us, and we miss them, and we look forward to getting them back at games. But we're probably, as all three of us are here, incredibly proud of what I think we've all done to flatten the virus, and how as a society we've come together to get the result we have, which is incredible, really. But we can't wait to get back, and the sooner we continue to do what's right and continue to obey our government, I think we'll be back sooner rather than later, and we can't wait to put on a show for all those people that support us. Oh, hey guys, just just once again, thank you for spending the time for this NIB panel discussion. We hope you got something for it. We really enjoyed it. Once again, if you've got any questions, continue to send them through at some later date. We apologise for Paul's feed. He's broken up, but once again, we thank you for your support, and we hope to see you back in the stand soon.